I would venture to say you've always ran into a good woman. The thing is, you aren't ready. So that makes you not a good man because you're running through a lot of women by showcasing traits that they would want in a husband when you know fully right now you're not ready for that commitment. Thank you. Welcome to the Purpose and Powerful podcast, where we are talking tonight about what is a good woman from a man's perspective. We have some people coming on. We have the Prince 9. So we have people coming in the building, the virtual building, that is.
So we need, we'll just start going. And
that's right.
Participate.
So our wonderful co-host, Dr. Jabril Wilson, tell us, what was it like when you found the first good woman you ran into? What were the characteristics, and how did you pick up on that was the case?
Well, characteristics, I mean, one of our mentors talks about some of the H's that he uses in his core value. Special shout out to Marvin Mitchell. We talk about honest, humble, happy. Those are things that you look for: honest, humble, happy. And it's another H. You remember what it is?
Hungry.
Hungry. Well, yes, because you definitely got to take them out to eat.
That's right.
So in that case, we talk about more hungry in terms of understanding your purpose, your divine purpose, and working towards that, being hungry, having a passion and desire to fulfill that purpose. But hungry, yes, in a dating atmosphere, happy. You want to be around someone who's happy and optimistic. So their light shines and brings towards you. And this is in a perfect world. And humble, willing to say, I know the word may be controversial, submit, but humble and yield to a visionary if you're working together, and then being honest, saying who you are. I mean, on both ends, not being that representative, but being transparent and being honest, because that's how you build a true friendship, which can blossom into other things and hopefully into a marriage. But those are the keys that I look at, because it covers everything. It covers just those four H's cover everything. What do you think about that?
That's excellent. I just can't wait for us to talk about what is a good man. So what are some characteristics that men just have discovered or reflected on that they have said to themselves, this is not a good woman?
Oh yeah, Thomas looks like he wants to say something.
Yeah, I know, right? I just let's hear it. Let's hear it, Thomas.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what was the question? I'm sorry.
So tonight we're discussing what is a good woman from a man's perspective. So 2 questions. First question was, how do you identify a good woman? Meaning, name some traits. And then what are some traits that signify you're not dealing with a good woman?
That's a tricky question because it depends upon the person. It depends upon the man. And it depends on what you're looking for. I think Jabral said a couple of weeks ago, they say everybody has a season. And that season depends on what a good woman is to you. And it depends on in what aspect are you looking for her in. Are you looking for a good, when you say good woman, are you looking for a good wife? Are you looking for a good business partner? Are you looking for somebody to hang out with and play and just to travel the world with? It depends on what you're looking for in a woman. Are you looking for that partner that's going to be with you for the rest of your life? And that can be the things that you need to do, but you have to define that when you start looking at what is a good woman, especially and for me, I look at it from several different aspects, because I look at it from, you start looking for, I know in my early years, I was looking for somebody just to hang out and just to have fun with. But as I grew older, I started looking for what is that woman that I want to have to settle down with. And what does that mean, settle down? That means to have a family. What woman do I want to raise my boys or raise my children? Do I want to have that lifelong partner? And and you have to really look at that. When I was young, I didn't think about it too much. I said I wanted that beautiful young lady that was smart, intelligent, that was church going, that was good with children, that had a personality that not mirrored mine, but that complemented mine. Had a zeal for life, wanted to travel, wanted to to be industrious from a sense of understanding that, hey, I want somebody that can work alongside me, work with me, have a career of their own and all of that. So that was my perspective of what a woman was to me. You always hear a lot of say, I want that Proverbs 31 woman, or a woman says, I want to be a Proverbs 31 woman. And what does that really mean when you start looking at it? You have to break it down. A lot of people look at it from a flesh point of view and not looking at it from a spiritual point of view. You have to look at it from all three. You have to look at it from a physical, mental, spiritual, most like in a more spiritual point of view than it is more flesh and more mental, because if the spiritual part is right, then the mental and the physical is going to work itself out. That's a start. I don't want to take up all the time. So I'm going to stop there and let you ask more questions if that's okay.
Absolutely. So as we are talking about what is a good woman from a man's perspective, my co-host is going to lead this one tonight because I can't wait to sink my teeth in what is a good man.
I said what I had to say at this point. I appreciate Thomas giving I say, very strong and long opinion and the way he sees it. So I want to just hear back some feedback from it, because I agree. I mean, it's based on where you are as a man and what you want to attract or what you believe. So I think that it really has all to do with that when you're thinking about what is a good woman from that man's perspective, not just a man, but that man. It depends on the individual man and what he's looking for and what are his intentions.
Absolutely. I can recall a time when I was talking with one of my exes we're still pretty good friends. We do business together in some respect. And he said to me, Erica did it again. I'm like, okay, what is it that you've done? I was like, you messed up another relationship. So he proceeds to tell me, she was a good woman. She was this, she was that. And I said, listen, I would venture to say you've always ran into a good woman. The thing is, you aren't ready. So that makes you not a good man, because you're running through a lot of women by showcasing traits that they would want in a husband. And you have them feeling that this thing will go the distance, when you know fully right now, you're not ready for that commitment. So I'm going to need you to stop messing with these good women until you're ready to be a good man.
Are we going to talk about just what makes a good woman, or also what?
Oh, no, we can. So the question would become next is, when have you identified, have you been able to identify when you weren't ready to be a good man and you found yourself dealing with a good woman? And what would you say to men who aren't really ready to be the good man, even when he realizes he has a good woman?
If a man realizes that he's not a quote unquote good man, but
Right.
has quote unquote good woman, I mean, the right thing may be to do, especially if they're not already married, is to be a friend first. Be a friend, pull back, and allow her to make some of the decisions, and also be honest with her and tell her that on this level, this is not where I am, even though I presented myself to be that, but that's not who I am or where I am, and just be their friend, offer friendship. And friendship means true friendship. If she wants to date other people or meet other people, you can't act like you're her boyfriend or you're her man when you already know that you can't afford or you're not willing to pay the price to have that woman in your space on that level. So it's selfish of us as men, when we already know something, to allow someone to still work towards or force something or believe something that's not true. And I think that that's really hurting everyone, because you're hurting yourself as a man, because you're not giving yourself the opportunity to grow and to be honest and true to yourself. And you have a woman who you've stolen from the good man that she deserves, because she won't be visible or findable for who the person that she's purposed to be with. So it has a snowball and chain effect that affects legacies, families, communities worldwide, just from one lie or for one selfish, insecure, and I say insecure act, because within this man doesn't want to be alone or is taking advantage of people because he thinks he can get away with that?
That is the complex question, because most women recognize that they are a good woman and they're trying to make this man a good man, and he's really not a good man. So what they have mostly told themselves is, I can love him to be the man that I need him to be. I can work with him to get him to that point because I love him. My love conquers all. I'm going to be able to somehow turn this around. And I know he loves me. I know he cares about me. And that's the problem, see, because your love does not cover his sin, the lie, right? It doesn't cover the lie. So instead of it going in the direction under which you would love for it to go, it's going nowhere. And so most of the time we find ourselves wanting him to just be honest, even though that seems that it's going to be very heartbreaking, but the honesty would save us both. It would save us years of our lives. It would save us so much time. That hurt could come and we would heal and move forward if only we could get the honesty.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you
go,
can.
Tanya, we want it.
Okay, I agree to some extent, but sometimes, okay, I'll say it this way. You can be a good woman, yes, but a lot of times I don't always account it to the man's fault that a woman will allow herself to stay connected to a situation that she know doesn't have the expected end. Most times with men, based on my experience, most times with men that aren't ready for the commitment, as you all have shared, women, especially a good woman that knows that she's deserving of what she considers her expected end to be, those signs are displayed early, whether it's through conversation and or action. But sometimes, and I do agree, Erica, when you said, but sometimes we as women, we don't always acknowledge that as the truth that it is. So therefore we stay connected to a situation. And yes, there are men, I mean, my daughter's father and I had the conversation. He portrayed the role when we were together, but he knew in his heart, he wasn't ready for the commitment that I was ready for long term. And when we had the conversation, he did as Jabril said. He had to, face his insecurity and say, hey, listen, let me be honest. I'm not ready for what you're ready for. And I received that. We're the best of friends today because of that truth. But it still doesn't change the fact that when I look back at the situation, I knew from the jump that he really wasn't ready for that commitment. It didn't change me being a good woman. I just had to stop myself being that good to him.
Absolutely. Thank you for your transparency and sharing that. And that is the conundrum we find ourselves in. But the reality is, we knew that early. We knew that so early. I mean, we just make excuses for it. I think it happens on both sides. It really does. So,
and that's I'm just going to piggyback on what she's saying. Truth on both parts is more important than anything. Transparency on both parts is important on both, because I've seen on both sides where there's a good man that has a good woman, but their time and their season is different because they're looking for different things. It goes back to what are you looking for? And the transparency and the truth, when they see it going a certain way, there are some times when a man says, hey, I know she's the best thing for me. However, I'm not ready to settle down. But then there's other times when the woman stands there and says, I know he's not the best thing for me, but he's the best thing I got going right now. And they try to hold on, even though the man has said, hey, look, yes, I understand what you want, but I'm not ready to give it to you. But then the question becomes when. How much is enough? When is enough? When do you let it go? Do you hold on? That is a personal choice and a personal set of decisions that each one has to make. And I go back to, You know, I'm a preacher, so I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna have to say. It has to be that spiritual part of you that understands where you both are spiritually, because if you can't even get to a spiritual level to where you're looking at each other and understand where each other are spiritually, then you automatically go to a place inside of a relationship that is not going to be, because you keep talking past each other. You're looking for one thing, the other's looking for another. And even in my relationships, I haven't had a lot. I was one of those that tried to lock it down quick. When I was young, I didn't feel like just playing the field. But even in my experiences, I started laying out what was I looking for in a woman, what was I looking for in a wife, what was I looking for in a girlfriend. So I started out at the age of 21 saying, okay, you know what? I need to find a wife. I don't want to play this field. I don't want to play around and try to find somebody, because in the short time that I was out there, I was like, okay, am I looking for a wife? I'm looking for a girlfriend. What do I want in a wife? What do I want in somebody that I can spend a lifetime with? And there are so many different factors. You have to lay out what is most important, what is not, what is not important. And so do I want that woman that's going to work at the same time? Do I want her to have my children, and do I want her to be a great mother? What do I want from her? What is that establishes that woman for me, that keeps the fire burning, and that makes it exciting to be around her every day. And flesh is only skin deep. You have to get deeper than that, because when all else fails, it's going to be that love, that it's going to be that spirit that keeps everything moving and keep everybody tight and keep you both together. And I'm going to stop there.
Thank you, Thomas. Well, Reverend Thomas, right?
Thomas is fine.
Okay. Amen.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, what if you're the good woman that always ends up the best friend? The man acknowledges that you're the good woman, but he only keeps you in that title of best friend. And it's a true friendship. There's nothing, it hasn't crossed the line. It's the best of friends. Yet, when it's time for the relationship to be something, or they're ready to go into serious, I don't want to say serious, but a more committed relationship, somehow the best friend never ends up. Like I've always been the best friend, but I've never ended up the girlfriend. But to this day, those guys would say, that's a good woman, and she's my best friend. And I've questioned that. I don't know if it's a regular thing with men, but or if from you all's experience that are on, and you have known someone to have actually married their best friend. But why is that? Why is it that a man can identify a person as being a good woman as the best friend, but they never pursue it to be more than that?
All right. Can I answer that? Number one.
Yes.
Sure, Tanya. I appreciate that question. The word never, that's an absolute word. It's that you've had people who've been friends and ended up being together forever. And you've had people who've been friends and then they ended up not being together forever, but they remain friends. So I think that's almost just like when you say nice guys finish last. So we've heard that too, where we're the nice guy and a woman deals with the tough guys or the rough guys and marries that person, and you're the good guy standing on the side. So that happens on both sides. But what I believe is it all goes back to what I said on the first episode about who you really are and where you are. And if a man is not ready, the best thing he can do for you is be honest. Because then you get to see the stuff that he does that you should be glad that you're not that person he would do that to. And maybe you can give him some advice. And that's happened with me. So I think that it's not a bad position to be the friend, to know more of the truth than something that's more of a fairy tale. You get to see the ins and the outs, the good, bad, and the ugly, where when he's dating someone else, that those, unfortunately, that's probably not what you would want. And
Right.
I think that being the best friend is sometimes the best position to be in, especially if that man is not yours anyways.
True, true.
And what you're going to want is to continue to know how to be a friend, because you're going to have to be a friend, a best friend to the right man for you. Those other men, that was just part of what God is doing for you to help prepare you for your husband. And that friendship piece and working with a person and being honest with that person, and that person being honest with you, helps prepare you for the next level in your life. And your turn will come. Your turn will come and yours will come. That person is just your friend. Never want anything or desire something that's not yours anyways, because it will not last.
True. Okay, I appreciate that. I received that.
And I would say be honored. Be honored that that person is not wasting your time with trying to start a relationship or saying, and I had this one young lady that I was dating. I was head over heels with her. She said, marry me. I would have said, okay. I really wanted to. And I would go down to her place and we would hang out for weekends at a time. And she would take off, and she was focused on her school. She was trying to get her school out. I was not about school. I was trying to find a wife. And she just said, Thomas, I'm not there. And even though we were dating, I'm like, hey, I'm ready to commit. And she was like, no, I'm not. And a couple years later, after I found my wife, for 29 years now, we met, and she was like, I was like, so, and I'm telling you, at the time that we met, this was like 2 or 3 years into my marriage. And I said, so what happened? Why? And she said, Thomas, you have to understand something. You're a Cadillac. I was looking for a Porsche. She's like, I was looking for that fast person that's going to wine and dine me, bring me off, swing me off of my feet, make sure that I was a queen for a day. She said, you were comfortable. You were that slow and steady. You were always there. You were solid. You was always providing support. You were that guy that I know that if everything broke loose, you were right there. She says, I was comfortable with that. And she says, that wasn't what I was looking for. And I had to say thank you for that. But I was upset because at the time, you always find that old saying, the one that got away, but I had to change that and say the one that God did not have for me. And the one that was right for me is the one that I'm with now. And so we have to trust God in a lot of this, because if you trust God and if you're a Christian, you have to look at that spiritual connection and understand where we were, because we were on two spiritual different planes. As I look back on it, would it have worked? I don't know. But what I do know is that what I have now is amazing. And, it's not now, and I will be honest with you. I looked for the wife. I was looking for a mother of my children. I was looking for a person that was going to take care of the home and that was going to be solid in the home. That's what I was looking for, and somebody that loved God just as much as I did and wanted to worship him as much as he was. Now, I did want the industrious woman. I did want the woman that was going to go out there and be fire and make great things happen for me, in the home and stuff like that. But some of it I had to compromise and say, okay, what is more important? What is important to me in my good woman? What is important to me in the life of my life? Because I have a lot of friend females, and they're just that, friends, and they'll be my best friends forever. But at the same point, I will never put them into a marriage or a girlfriend potential, simply because, of course, I'm married. But even then, if I was not, I wouldn't put them in that category, simply because they deserve more than I can offer. And if the person actually understands that and keeps you in that friend because he knows that you deserve more than he can offer, then he's treating you like the queen you should be.
If you can't pay that price, you got to let the person go. And just think about some of the men, say when you were in high school or elementary school, on both ends, Thomas and the Prince, you could see this, where you wanted to be with certain people and it felt like rejection, but it really was a promotion and preparation for the person that you're really supposed to be with. And I just think that we find ourselves with this I call it the toy store mindset. And I remember when my mother would give me a few dollars to go into the toy store when I got older, where she wouldn't think somebody would kidnap me. And I would go inside of the store and she'd say, wait. But the first toy I saw, I have $3 or $4 and it was $2.99 and I just grabbed it. And I still would walk through the store, but once I came out, I realized, or I saw a commercial and it was something else I wanted and I just didn't wait. So you really have to take what you have, wait, and just watch and then select and not jump so quickly. So those principles, even when we're older, still apply. And this is a thought-provoking question we have for you is, for the women, is when should the woman walk away when she realizes she's not dealing with a good man? When do you think you should walk away?
I would say as soon as she recognizes, to kind of piggyback off of what everyone has said so far, I would say to Tanya that good man, your best friend, is your template. Like that's the start of the bar. So there's traits that you're able to see in him that you want in your ideal mate. And that's just kind of like a starting reference point. And now you have to seek and build other traits onto what you want to make that man that is looking for you to find you more easily. So just work on yourself and all things should align. But I've had the privilege of having a male best friend and a female best friend for over 20 years. And I could say unequivocally, my male best friend has almost every trait that I have on my list. Mm-hmm. And it's because he exists, it lets me know all I have to do is keep waiting, right? And something I had known for years, I would say those men that I married or dated weren't on that level. So it's a safety net too. So that's the thing to also be careful of, is that you're not waiting for that good man to be found in the best friend, because women tend to use that man as their safe space. I didn't use him as my safe space, but he always never stood in my way. And that's the thing, is as you start to attract the good man you're looking for or wanting to be found by, measure his responses so that he's not holding you up or making suggestions or recommendations or different things that seem a little bit more like jealousy or something like that. I didn't have that. I have a great male best friend. But just so that you're aware that since you're being so supportive of him in relationships, that you're getting that same support in your pursuit of a relationship. And then also to kind of look inward. Why is it that you keep being the best friend? I mean, you're safe. They're safe with you. But you have to ask yourself that, because I didn't sit here and say I have multiple male best friends. I said I only have one. So there's something there with that. Maybe you feel more safe if they're your friend. And it's great. You actually want your mate to be your friend. That's something to never look past. But to always be the best friend, something's not quite 100 about that.
Well, remember, I did say that you attract where you are.
Where you are, right.
Look, we all want to say we want $1 million next week and start doing affirmations and all of that.
Right.
However, we're only attracting $50,000 for some reason. And we getting these offerings and things from people for 50, maybe not even 100,000. It's because it's where we are. See, what you desire and where you are two different things. And who you are and where you are is going to always supersede and show you who you are. Right. Because even when you're not even trying to make money or trying to do certain things, but if you are that person right now in this season where money comes to you easily, it's going to come to you. And if certain other things are not in alignment with you and it's not your season, no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you hustle, the money is just going to slip. It's going to fall out. So when it's your season for the relationship, for the abundance, for your mindset to be a certain way, for you to have a certain amount of friends and relationships that you've always desired, it'll come. Remember, desire versus reality, two separate things. And we have to accept who we are at this moment. And if we want more, then we have to move accordingly.
That's good.
Thank you, Tanya. I was
I-
talking to myself though. I mean, hey, I'm glad you could help somebody else.
Listen, that's good. That's good. But in reference to Erica's initial response to the question that you asked, from what I've seen, even with some of my female friends that are very good women, and they finally realized or recognized that he wasn't the good man or the man that was to meet the expected end that they desired. That reality, it's from what I've seen, it's easy to say to, leave, get out of that situation quickly. What I've seen though is the emotional involvement and attachment made it difficult, made it very difficult to let it go. Most times, in some situations, it was because the time that had been invested. Other times, it was superficial because of image. I'll just hang on because everybody this to happen, or everybody prophesied that this is who I'm supposed to be with. Um, but I've just noticed, especially with two of my friends, that they knew that as the truth. And yes, the correct response would be leave as soon as you find out. But I've just seen through their experience that it was difficult to do.
Yes, ma'am. Because leaving takes courage, right? And just like when they enter that situation, they have to remember why and what they wanted. They have to remember that part. So the situation's obviously going to improve no matter what they say, no matter what they do. They just have to find their exit strategy. Now, there are several ways you can do that, and most people don't choose the best way to leave a relationship. And it could just be simply as no is a complete, I'm out. I love you. I've cared for you. We've gone as far as we can go in this relationship. It is very apparent to me that we do not desire the same things. And that's quite okay. Leaving you is hard, but in order for me to be found by what I desire, I cannot be in this relationship with you. Same way, I am standing in your way from you getting to the relationship that is best for you. Because love is letting go too. I think sometimes we forget about that. I mean, you understand it from parenting, right? That you grow the children, you teach them different things so that they can blossom, leave, and survive on their own. Same way in relationship. You love that person, you got to know them, and now you know that you are not the best for them for what they want, and they're not the best for you for what you want. So same difference. Love means letting go. I'm going to let myself go out of this situation because it'd be harder to do it. That same friend that I referenced earlier, that I said, you're always running into good women. You're just not a good man. It was very difficult for me to leave that particular situation because I cared about him that much. And I had a dream that I had several dreams. We would get engaged, but we would never get married in these dreams. And so I woke up from a dream where I dreamed that I was married and he was married and he came to our house for dinner. And I looked across the table at his wife and saw how unhappy she was. And I knew that he was not right for me. And I came out of that dream, prayed about it, said, Lord, I love him too much. I know I probably won't handle this right, but I'm going to give it to you so that you can end it. And that was done in 2 weeks. There was no time for closure. He didn't give me the opportunity. That hurt like you would not believe, but it was for my good. And it's for his too. He is still trying to find this good woman in his life, but I would be unhappy. And that is not a position that I could ever accept.
And I'm going to say investment. Check your assets.
Yes.
You check your assets. Understand what you got on the table. Look at your best assets and look at where your least assets. As you walk into the relationship, you always look at it from a sense of, well, you don't always, but you try to look at it from a sense, what can I leave? What can I leave on the table and not worry about it? It's that Kenny Rogers. You got to know when to hold, know when to fold, know when to walk away, know when to run. I always say leave enough assets on the table to show what your motives are. But at the same time, don't put nothing on the table you don't want until you are committed into that relationship that's going to lock you into it. Because many times, men go with their heads, women go with their hearts. That's what I've always been told. And many times women will throw their heart on the table a lot faster than the man will throw his head in the table and put his heart in the game. So he's going to make sure that he's got enough to walk away. But many times a lot of women do not. And believe it or not, when the woman don't throw her heart on the table and just lay it out there, that's going to challenge that man to try to understand that woman, where that person, to where they are and how she is relating to what he's looking for. And the more you stay there and the more you keep your heart off the table from a sense of putting it there and laying it out, the more you're going to challenge him to actually lay out what his intentions are for you, with you, and for how long it's going to be. So you have to look at those assets and understand what is going to be your I'm all in point, and hold off from that. Keep that close and personal to you, so that if things go south, then you can walk away. Yeah, you lose some hurt. There's some hurt. There's always some skin in the game, but you don't have your heart in the game. You don't have that which is more precious and most precious to you. You're walking away with that. You're walking away with all your gold and diamonds. You might leave some rubies on the table, but you got the most important things for you. And especially today, as I talk to young women and as I talk to young men, the waiting game is who's gonna climb the stairs. And sometimes I joke with Erica, who's climbing the stairs first. The one that gets to the top the fastest is the loser. It's the one that stays there and they walk hand in hand, so that you know that you're in the same step and you understand that you're in that same, you're right step in each other. And so that you are not, neither one of you are getting ahead of the other as far as intention, is the most important thing, because now you're both safe, because you're not making a move and they're not making a move. Now, when they move forward, then you move forward. If they don't move forward, then you don't move forward, because now you're being safe and now you know what the intent is. Because sooner or later, the brother's going to say, okay, look, this is my intent. What is yours? So challenge. And for that woman, my wife, hey, look, she was a chase. I mean, she sold me my house. And I'm just going to tell you, because she was like, we had an argument about the house I bought. She was like, I don't know why you buying this house, because I would never live in here. I said, it ain't for you. You'll never live in this house because it's not for you. I'm buying this house for me. And guess what? She lived in it about 6 months, 8 months later. But that was because we had an understanding of where we wanted to be and how we were actually working with each other. Nobody made a move until we were ready to. And that's a challenge that we have in relationships today. It's not a waiting game, but you have to make sure that you know where that person is and what their intentions are, because intentions change. They change. And I have one boss that told me this, the truth, that nobody lies, the truth changes. Now, I don't agree with that 100%. But what I do understand is that in a dating, in a relationship, the truth does change, because it depends on what that person needs at that time. He might need, one day I might need a mother. I might need that woman to embrace me. I might need her to pick me up because I just got beat up. I might need her to next day be my running partner. And that's what you got to look for. What are your assets you're laying on the table? What can you effectively walk away with and keep all your sanity about you? But yeah, don't stay when you find out that you're getting ready to give, that you're going to get over that threshold and you don't want to. Walk away, because it's easier to walk away than it is to fight your way back out of the same hole.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much, Thomas, for that. And
I just like to throw one thing in. And I thought of it when you were talking, Tanya, that I think is very important when you're trying to establish a relationship or looking for relationships, that you be a friend first.
Yes.
If you can be friends to each other, you won't have a whole lot of problems. So look for a friend in your mate. Try to be friends first.
Yes, ma'am.
I wouldn't even say try. I would say
Be
because
friends. Yes,
being a
Yeah.
friend will let you in the front door and
that's right.
allows you to see what other people don't see. You
So
see the
that's
heart of the man. You
Mhm.
see what he,
Right.
and then when you start saying, "Nah, I don't want to deal with that," as a friend, you can walk away,
Right.
That's
and
right.
Right.
Still be a
Yes.
friend. Still be there.
and you got all your kit with you. Whereas you don't develop the relationship, then it's like, and that was my wife and I. We were friends. That's why we had that argument. We were friends, and that was the thing about it is that even and even with that, the challenges is make it keep a friend until you know that you're ready to do something else and they are ready to do something else.
Right.
Never try to push the issue.
No matter what.
Yes.
And I agree. It just brings us to a head. We've enjoyed this and we want to get you ready for next week. And hopefully more of you will come on because we see their interaction, the transparency, that somewhat healing, the confirmation in these. And next week will be our 5th episode, December the 3rd. And the topic will be strong woman problems. And when we talk about strong woman problems, we're talking about maybe the woman who's an independent woman who relies on her own strength and her independence, but she's could be judgmental at times and be hard on the man. And that false strength, or what she calls strength or independence, tends to work against her. So many independent, lonely, hurt, broken women out there. And we're going to undress some of that next week. First Sunday of the month, on strong woman problems. Because that strong woman problem, or if you're that or have those, then you're probably not that good friend that you may think that you are, but you're really not. So we don't want to miss that. Is there anything that anyone wants to close out and say? Because we thank you for coming on and participating and sharing some of your heart and your mind and how you see things. And I hope that you were able to gain a different perspective or confirm some things that you needed, especially Tanya. I heard you say thank you a few times and say a few things are good. So I appreciate that. And just thank you for just being your true self on our podcast, because it's here for all of us.
Quick question
Sure.
before we close. I was looking at the minutes. I'm trying to make sure okay. It's real quick. Does it make a person a good woman? Does it make a woman a good woman because she prides herself in being able to take care of a man financially?
Whose question is that for?
Now, I want everybody to answer.
Well, I don't know if everyone, for the sake of time, everyone can answer it, but I could say something real quick and then maybe Erica, but your question is, say it again. You want to know what?
Okay. Does it make a woman a good woman because she prides herself in being able to take care of a man financially?
Well, so good and bad is relative, but subjective. But I think that's a great woman if she prides herself on taking care of someone. However, what is the man bringing to the table besides the last name? What is he going to give? So it has to be a win-win for it to be sustainable, because you can't buy a man, and a man can't buy a woman. So what else, as friends, can you put together to grow together? And because maybe you're ahead at that time in that area financially, however, it should, hopefully you can start to build each other, and what is a strength of yours will become his, and what's a strength of his will become yours. That's how I see that.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this bone in there real fast.
Sure.
So I'm gonna try. So that's a powerful question, and it's one that's asked a lot. There is a spiritual connection that you have to worry about, and not the physical connection. Finances are physical and they can change immediately and quickly. But the spiritual connection is more, because even when you look at a Proverbs 31 woman, the man, so as long as each one understand their place inside of the relationship, that's where the key thing is. It don't matter who makes all the money. It's a matter, where's that spiritual role between each? How do they actually connect and how they actually work through it? Because this thing called, I want to be the breadwinner of the family. What is the breadwinner of the family? The breadwinner is a spiritual connection, not just the physical. Most people want to take it to the physical and the financial, but it's not the physical and the financial. I'm a breadwinner in my family because I spiritually connect with my wife and I provide her the spiritual protection that she can walk to and fro wherever she is and do the things that she needs to do physically, spiritually, and mentally. And she knows that I got her back. Now, I want her to make $1 million and I don't care. But I just want to make sure I do what I need to do as a man. And that man needs to be comfortable in himself that he can provide that for you. Because it's not about, and he has to be able to look past the physical and the financial to see the whole picture.
Amen. I agree. I agree. Well, thank you, Tanya. All right. We'll see you
Okay.
next week, December the 3rd, 7 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time, and 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a wonderful night.
Have a
Have a
great
wonderful
night.
night.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. You
Night.
too.
Thank you guys. Bye.